Hey guys, I'm so excited that you guys are joining me today as we talk about editing in skin tones. While everybody's coming in, if you could just take a minute and find the chat and just tell us what you love to photograph and maybe even something that you find challenging when it comes to editing in Lightroom. I know that it can be super overwhelming, and we're going to talk about that. So I'm excited to do that. So I'm going to go ahead and give you guys a second to get in. Hello, Henrietta, from South Carolina. So if you guys have never, okay, I'm going to take that in a minute because I just want to make sure everybody gets in. Okay, let's check and make sure everybody's getting it. Okay, good. Okay, so Lightroom is a play on the term darkroom, right? When we shot with film, and I say we, I actually never got into it. My dad gave me his film camera. You had to send your film off to a lab or you developed it yourself in the darkroom. And it's a lot of work and it's expensive. And so we have now Lightroom where it's the same thing. We have this ability to edit our photos in our own house. However, it can sometimes feel like someone pushed you into a dark room with some chemicals and canisters and film and said, hey, figure it out, right? It's really overwhelming. There's a lot of sliders and different modules and how to organize your photos and what to do with them and how to make sure that you are not over editing an image or knowing, where do you start with an image. And so Lightroom, although is an amazing program, it can start to feel really overwhelming and really, it can just be a lot to take in. And so that's why I just kind of want to break it down for you guys. And I want to focus on skin tones today because I know for me, that was one of the hardest things for me to figure out. And it took a really long time for me to train my eye to get those going. So I'm excited to share with you guys actually a lesson from my upcoming course, Beginner's Guide to Lightroom, where I'm going to show you the actual lesson that I teach on skin tones. But before we do that, I want to teach you a little bit extra, and I just want to talk to you guys a minute if you guys have never been to one of my web classes. So if this is your first web class, welcome. I love doing those. Hopefully we have some people who have been to them before. I am going to tell you a little bit more about myself and my journey and kind of how I got to where I am. And then we're going to dive into the teaching. I'm going to share my screen so that you can watch me edit in Lightroom. And like I said, I'm going to play one of my lessons for you so you guys can see that. It goes deep into skin tones. I figured it's just easiest to do that because there's a lot of zooming in and zooming out and showing you numbers, and it's a lot to take in. And so then after that, I figured out that a lot of people want to know what's next. They love the lesson, and now they're ready to take it a step further. So if that's you, I have this amazing offer. It's actually like mind-blowing, incredible, super discounted rate for you guys who are live and hanging out with me. So that will be after the teaching. Also, when I start teaching, I'll turn off the chat box. I do that just so that you can really focus in on what we're doing. I want to remove any distractions. And so if you have Facebook on or Twitter, or I don't know, I guess people use Twitter, Instagram, I do challenge you to silence your phone and put all that away. But do get out a pen and paper if you don't have one now, because when it comes to the skin tones, you're going to want to be taking notes. We're talking a lot about numbers and formulas. And so there is a lot to take in. And so I want to make sure that you get the most out of it. And then we will open back up the Q&A or the chat box for Q&A. And I'll take all your questions. I will sit and answer questions as long as you guys want. And then also we are going to have this amazing giveaway at the end too. So I do encourage you to stay till the end. So as I was mentioning earlier, Lightroom can be really overwhelming. And I know that's how I felt when I was starting. I actually had started with Photoshop Elements and I kind of played around with it, but it didn't make sense to me. I know it clicks for some people and I love that. For me, my brain just didn't work that way. And so I talked to some friends and they also were talking about Lightroom. Back then, I think it was like Lightroom 3. And I opened up the program and I was just completely overwhelmed. I didn't know where to start. There was all these sliders and buttons and catalogs and collections and what in the world, right? And so I did what a lot of people do. I started researching and learning as much as I could, and it was really hard and really frustrating. And I found that I was spending more time researching than actually editing. And I'm not one who loves editing anyway, and so having to spend all this time at the computer researching and then spending what felt like hours editing these photos, it was really discouraging. I love taking pictures and I love capturing the moment. I don't want to spend hours behind my computer editing. I know some people love editing and they think it's just part of the process, and I love that. For me, it's just not my passion. To me, editing is a way for me to elevate my images, but I don't want to spend hours behind my computer fixing photos and tweaking things and not knowing where to even stop editing the photo. And so it's taken me years, but I finally, I understand Lightroom. I can upload, edit, and organize and call and do all that with my photos in a matter of minutes. I no longer spend hours editing my photos, and I've figured all these things out, and I'm excited to share some of those with you today. So like I said, we're going to dive in and talk about skin tones. And so to do that, I'm going to go ahead and turn off my camera so that you guys can see my screen. It always goes kind of crazy whenever I do this, so just hopefully you guys can see my screen right here. So this photo is clearly underexposed. I didn't nail it in camera. I don't nail it every time in camera. Obviously that is our goal, and we always want to get it right in camera, but sometimes it just doesn't happen, and that's okay. And so if that happens to you and you don't get it right in camera, you can come to Lightroom and then you can make your image better, right? We don't want to rely on Lightroom to fix all of our photos. It is still very important to me that you learn how to get your photos correct in camera. But like I said, sometimes it just doesn't happen. And so we are right now in the develop module. You can come up here and see that right here. And there are all these panels right here. And I go way into these in the course and really break them down. But for the sake of time today, I want to make sure that you guys leave with actionable tips instead of just an overview of everything that it can do. So as I said, that I want to teach you how to get correct skin tones in 3 simple steps. And I do believe that there's a formula to this. And so the way to do that is, first and foremost, we need to fix the white balance. Even if you shoot on Kelvin's or custom white balance, typically the white balance still needs to be adjusted in Lightroom. A lot of times it's just a minor adjustment, but we need to make sure that we do it anyway. So you're going to grab this eyedropper right here that says white balance selector and come into your photo and find a neutral area. So you're looking for a gray, black, or white area. To help you know if it's neutral, you'll see at the bottom it says RGB. Those numbers will tell you if it's a neutral area or if you know it's a neutral area. So the walls in this room are gray. Not all grays are the same. Some grays have more blue in them. Some gray have more brown in them. But I'm going to just go ahead and use this one. You can come down here and see before and after. Not a huge difference, but it did take out some of the magenta that was in the photo. And then we're going to come over here and I'm going to adjust the exposure. And I just do that by pulling the slider. Okay? So I'm going to eyeball it. I think this looks about right. It's up to you to figure out where you want your exposure, but I'm going to show you this formula that I was talking about to help you figure it out in a minute. But you can go ahead and adjust it this way. I want to show you another photo because we're going to dive into this one in the lesson. But this photo right here has clearly the white balance is off. We were inside a church with overhead lights and it just didn't work out. The other photo that I showed you right here, this was with natural light. So I knew that the white balance is a lot closer. And as you saw when we looked at the before and after, there wasn't a huge change in white balance. But this photo clearly is not correct. It's very yellow. She's wearing a white dress, but it's hard to tell that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my eyedropper right here. And again, we need to find a neutral area in the photo. So white, gray, or black. Now, I know that the altar up here is a white marbly type color. And although the red, green, and blue are not the exact same color, I know that this is a pretty neutral color. Another thing you can do is over here in this corner right here with the navigator, it gives you a preview of what the photo is going to look like once you click that area for white balance. So you can see up here, this orange is not a neutral color, and it's going to throw off the colors of our image because it looks blue up there. But this white is pretty neutral, so we're going to click on that. And then I'm going to boost my exposure. Okay, there we go. So that is much better when it comes to just white balance and exposure. let's show you the before and after. Night and day, right? Just two steps, right? White balance and then exposure. And instantly we're already seeing an improvement. But what I want to show you is that there is actually a way to look at your photo and use a mathematical formula, which I do not love math, okay? But there is a way that once you start using this formula to train your eye, then you can start training your eye how to see your white balance and see if the skin tones are correct. And so it's really just a great habit to get into, is to learn to read your numbers, so your red, green, and blue, on all of your images with your skin tones. So as I mentioned earlier, what I want to do is I want to actually hit play on one of the lessons that I have. You'll see that as the video gets going, there's areas where I zoom in, and I have numbers posted and stuff. So I figured it's just easier, and you're gonna get more out of it being able to see this video, because it goes a lot more in depth as far as like the tech of what I can do, since it's pre-recorded. So let me go ahead and get that for you guys. While I do that, I'm gonna stop and okay, here we go. It is loading. Okay, let's go back to screen share. Okay, because sometimes things just don't work out the way they should with technology, right? Okay, so I'm going to hit play, and I just want to make sure that you guys can see this. If someone could just let me know in the chat box if you can see the video, and let me know if you can hear it playing.
Learning to edit skin tones correctly is something that's going to take time. It's going to take time to train your eye to see them, and so it's important to start by reading the numbers. And the way that we're going to do this is we're going to use the eyedropper. You're going to grab the eyedropper and come in and start looking around on your subjects. Now, I want to point out that the best way to get good skin tones is to make sure that your exposure and your white balance are correct. Honestly, if you can get your exposure and white balance correct, 9 times out of 10, your skin tones are going to be correct. So it's really important that you are not only editing those correctly, but you're shooting those as well. So that way you are setting yourself up to get those really great skin tones. Some places you want to sample for skin tones to get those numbers are the forehead or the chin. And the reason for that is if you sample the cheeks, you can see that there's a lot more pink and red in here. And we want to make sure that we're getting the general skin tone. So even the neck sometimes is a good one. But you want to find an area that's kind of a mid-tone of the skin, and you're going to put your eyedropper on it. Now you're going to see that the box is going to pop up with the red, green, and blue numbers on them. Typically what we're looking for is a spread in those numbers of anywhere from 10 to 20 points. So a lot of times if you have someone with light skin tones, you want the red number to start around 85. And once you look at that, you can see that my red is a little high, actually right here. It's at 86, and then it's 82 and 80. So I do not have that 10-point scale or 20-point scale. Now that is just kind of like a rule of thumb. It's not a hard and fast rule. I want to make something very clear. If you're editing a photo and you look at it and you're pretty sure your skin tones are correct, but the numbers are slightly off, don't always trust the numbers. They are a good starting point and they're a good place to start training your eye, but sometimes they're going to be a little bit off, and that's okay. So seeing these numbers, the red is a little high, and then because it's at 86 instead of 85, and then there's a 6-point bump. We do want the green and the blue to be a little bit closer if the range between the red and the green and the blue are not equal. So the green and the blue are a little bit closer at 82 and 80. That's a 2-point difference versus 86 and 82, which is a 4-point difference. If I want to bring down my exposure just a little, you can see that brought down my red to 82. Now here's a little trick for you. If you want to keep your eyedropper on your subject's skin while you adjust exposure or your temperature or tint, use the greater than, less than signs, and you can see it is cycling through till I get to the one that I want. Once I get there, I can adjust those with the plus and the minus sign. So I'm increasing my exposure. There, now her skin is at 85. So that helps me know that this is a good exposure. Her skin is at 85 for the red. And then you can see that it's 85, 81, 79. If I want to increase the scale between the red and the blue, then I can lower my blues in the temperature, plus or minus. So I'm going to increase some yellow into this photo. And you can see while I'm doing that, the numbers are changing. Now, this feels good to me right here. I don't want to add too much yellow because I want to keep it so that it looks good to my eye. So again, these numbers are not perfect. They're 86, 81, 78. Let's look at this photo right here. I'm going to check her, I'll just do her neck right here. So these are 80, 73, and 67. So we have about a 15-point difference here, which is pretty good. And then there's 7 between each two. So 80 to 73 is 7 points, 73 to 67 is 7 points. So that lets me know that the skin tone is pretty good. I could increase my exposure to get the red up to 85 since I know that she has fair skin. However, I like the exposure where it's at, so I'm going to leave it there. But I wanted to show you what it'll look like if I decide to increase the exposure. So you can see I increased it to 84 and it's just too much. So I can't trust the numbers here. And that's okay. That's when I want to show you that sometimes you just have to trust your eye. Now here's a photo of someone with more medium skin tones. And the number for the red is going to be slightly different. For the red for medium skin tones, you're looking for anywhere between 70 to 80 for the red. Now that is in the mid-tones on their own skin. So we don't want to be looking in the shadows over here. We also don't want to be looking at the brightest part of their skin. So a nice medium place would be right here. She's at 68 right now. And like I said, 70 to 80 is a good range. So I could increase the exposure a little, and that bumps me to 70. Now the image looks a little bright to me, but I want to check the skin to make sure that it's not too bright. And a way to do that is to look at where the skin is the brightest. So you can see right here on her cheek or on her nose, that's very bright right there. So I'm going to put the eyedropper there and I'm going to check those areas. What I'm looking for is I'm watching the reds to make sure that it's not above 95. If it's above 95, when you go to print a photo, a lot of times printers have a hard time printing that color. And so you're going to lose a lot of detail, and we don't want that. So we want to keep the brightest parts of our image below 95, especially for skin tones. We're able to use the eyedropper and still use the numbers to keep an eye on it and check the areas. And we, again, are looking for a skin tone area that is in between the shadows and in between the brights. We could probably even lower our exposure a little. Again, this is where it comes into play of just trusting your eye and not 100% relying on these numbers. A lot of times people ask me, how do you edit a photo when there's two people in it who have very different skin tones? If you can get your exposure and your white balance correct, the skin tones are going to look the way they should. So again, all I did with this image was adjust my exposure and adjust the white balance. Let's check the skin tones. So we're looking for anywhere between 70 to 80 and then that range. Look at that range, 72, 61, 52. That's a perfect 20-point range with almost perfectly 10 points in between each one. So her skin tone is spot on. This one is a 10-point scale, maybe 11, 81, 73, 70. Not as great of a range. This one, the green and the blue are closer together. Let's check some other areas to see if maybe we can get a better reading. Okay, here we go. So this is 57, 52, and 47. This is a 10-point range with 5 points in between the two. So sometimes it takes a little moving around and finding different skin tones to check out. We checked up here, my forehead was a little bit red. It was hot out that day. So finding this area that had a little less red in it helped us to find a great spot to test it out. So you'll notice all I did to this photo was adjust the exposure and the white balance, and I was able to get the colors correct. If I did the white balance with the eyedropper, it gives me this more yellow photo. You can tell skin tone numbers right here still work for her. Let's check mine. That's about 7 and then 6. So they still work here as well. But to me, the image just looks a little yellow. So I'm going to bring the slider down to bring a little bit more blue into the image. And again, I'm just going to check those skin tone areas to make sure I did an okay job. 10-point scale, 63, 58, 54, with about 5 points in between each. And then let's check her. 73, almost 20 points again with about 10 points in between each. So these both work as well. Let me just show you how just quickly adjusting the exposure and the white balance can drastically affect the image and the skin tones. So now she has very fair skin. So her numbers we want to be a little bit higher, probably in the 80s. Whereas the dad has much darker skin. So his red could be anywhere from 40 to 50 to even 60. It's not an exact science. So we're going to check these numbers. So he's at 61, 60, and 66. You'll notice that the blue is higher than the red. So we know something is off. You always want the numbers in order of RGB. So red should always be the highest, then green, then blue. We have too much blue in the photo. So let's look at the temperature slider. And we're going to increase the yellows because we have too much blue in this photo. The red is at 57, the green is at 53, and the blue is at 55. So at least the red is higher than the blue now, but we have still too much blue. That's better. And you can see the photo looks a little bit more natural now. So we're going to jump down to the tint. I'm using the brackets to adjust these, plus or minus signs. We need to increase the greens because green is lower than blue right now. So we're going to add some green to the photo. And you can see while we do that, that decreases the blue. Anytime you mess with the colors, they all work together and they all start being manipulated. So now our numbers are 56, 53, and 51. So that looks a little bit better. At least they're in the correct order now. So red is the highest, then green, then blue. So I'm going to check some other people's numbers. She's at 79, 73, and 68. So about a 10-point difference with about 6 and then 5. So that's pretty good. Let's check her. She's at 60, 53, and 41. Her green is closer to her red than it is to her blue, and we don't necessarily want that. So let's mess with the tint sliders and see if we can fix that. So we need less green. So let's add a little bit magenta to the photo. And you can see now it's almost a perfect 10 points between each one. And then let's check the little one. So she is at 72, 65, and 57. So 7 and about 7. So that's a really good scale too. So all we did was adjust the exposure and the white balance. And then we used the sliders and we watched the numbers. And remember, I know I said you're looking for about 10 to 15 point scale of difference between them, but it's not always going to be that way. And that's okay. It doesn't have to be perfect. That's something I want you to remember. That you can see that the red is at 55, green is at 51, and blue is at 51. So we want the blue a little bit lower because we don't want the numbers to be the same. So let's adjust the temperature, and we're going to lower the blue, which means we need to add some yellow. And then you're just going to hop through, check everybody's numbers. 10, yep, that looks good. 16, 7, that looks good. 78 to 70, yep, so that looks good. This is one of those things that you're going to have to watch this video more than once. You're going to need to reference the cheat sheets with the numbers on them for you to see the skin tones that you're aiming for when it comes to the reds. But again, please just use these as a guide and not as 100%. That is the way it has to be. My photo must be off if the numbers are not perfect. Because as you can see with this family of 4, all 4 of them have different skin tones. And no one's numbers were exactly the same and no one's range was exactly the same. But we're just looking for ideally even spacing between the red, the green, and the blue. And then making sure that the red number is roughly close into the range of their skin tone of what we want. And reference those numbers on the cheat sheet.
Okay, so let me move this out of the way. Okay, you're probably wondering what's next, right? You now are confident, or at least you have an understanding of how you need to edit your skin tones, that we're looking for that 10 to 20 point range, that you need to be keeping an eye on the red, that they should be in order of red, green, blue, and it's important that you set your white balance and your exposure first, and then you start reading those numbers and make the adjustments accordingly. So now that you know that, and hopefully you have pages of notes to help you with that in the future, you're wondering again, what's next? You can spend months or years figuring out Lightroom on your own by Googling tutorials and spending hours researching it instead of organizing and editing your photos. Or you can take a shortcut and invest in yourself. You can follow the footsteps of someone who's been there and figured it out. So I want to personally invite you to join our Beginner's Guide to Lightroom community. In this 4-week step-by-step program, you will learn the secrets to mastering Lightroom. You'll gain the confidence you are looking for when it comes to editing, and all it takes is a few hours a week. I want you to stop feeling overwhelmed by not knowing where to start, and instead, I want you to get excited about being able to quickly edit your pictures. And slowly, I figured out a workflow that helped me make my photos pop in Lightroom. I put all the most important lessons together for you in the Beginner's Guide to Lightroom. Here's what you're going to learn. You'll learn how best to organize your photos, how to find a consistent editing style. You'll learn to perfect your white balance. You'll learn to edit in a timely manner, remove parts of your photo that you don't want in there. You'll make your subject pop against the background. You'll achieve correct skin tones, weed out the photos that aren't worth keeping, know exactly where to start, the settings that you need for exporting for web, print, and clients. You'll use the brushes and filters to add that extra something to your photo. You'll create a streamlined workflow. You'll make your photos look natural and vibrant. You'll learn how to choose and convert a photo to black and white, and you'll get your colors right and so much more. So what all is included? In the Beginner's Guide to Lightroom, you'll get access to over 30 information-packed videos to learn at your own pace. I broke each module up into smaller videos so that if you just want to go back and reference the video on how to edit skin tones like this one, or how do I adjust my white balance, or how do I reduce the noise in my image, you can just go back to that video instead of having to weed through hours worth of video and find that 1 minute that I talk about it. You'll also get over 100 pages of PDF notes. It's important to me that you're able to print out this information because I know some people prefer to read it. Also, it helps sometimes just to take notes and highlight and keep it nearby. You'll also get printable shortcut cheat sheets. So as you saw in this video, I use certain shortcuts like the brackets and the plus or minus so that I could keep my eyedropper and read those numbers. So incorporating those shortcuts into your workflow will speed it up a lot. And like all the courses I create, you will get lifetime access to this course material. So if today's not the perfect day for you to dive in, I completely understand, but you will have this information and it's always here waiting for you. So here are some success stories from students like you. Before the Beginner's Guide to Lightroom, I was overwhelmed by the idea of changing the way I imported and managed my photos and wasn't at all convinced that what I might be able to be capable of doing in Lightroom would be worth the hassle of learning a new program. But after Beginner's Guide to Lightroom, I am completely comfortable importing and editing my Lightroom exclusively. I'm amazed at how much more I am able to do with my photos than I was able to do before, and I am already wowing family members with my beautiful images. And that's by Deva, and here's one of her photos. So this is before, and then after. She's learned how to convert that photo into a black and white from scratch. You don't even have to rely on presets. That she was able to do this photo of her son. Although it's a beautiful photo to start with, she knew how to pick a strong photo for black and white and convert it that way. And Courtney's videos are easy to follow, and she will blow your mind by how many things you can do with relative ease. I now have the confidence to edit without worrying that my photos look over-edited. It's fun, and she has set me up to go even further with my photography. Another one of my students, and her awesome before and afters. So again, sometimes we just don't nail the exposure in camera, but look how much she was able to make her subject pop without an over-edited, oversaturated photo. So here's the deal. I am absolutely confident that this course will transform the way that you organize and edit your photos. And as a mom who's overwhelmed by Lightroom, I had to learn the hard way how to edit my images. But I found that it doesn't have to be this way. So that's why I've created this course, so that any beginner can quickly and easily learn how to confidently edit their photos without the frustrations that I went through. So go ahead and give the program a try today. And I only create programs that are 100% applicable. So if at any time you feel like the course isn't right for you, just simply email us and we'll refund your investment 100%. In the Beginner's Guide to Lightroom, I show you how to organize and edit your photos using different features in Lightroom that it has to offer. However, I realize that every photographer edits differently, so I'm including an amazing bonus: the Watch Me Edit videos. Watch professional photographers walk you through how they edit an image from start to finish. Everyone has a different editing style and approaches editing differently. So learn how the pros take the information that you learn here and apply it to how the pros edit their photos as well, so that you can see how to edit different images with different styles. We have someone who's going to show you how to edit food photography. We have a professional editor who people hire to edit her images to walk you through her workflow. I know I found these videos so informative. I learned so much. I think it's amazing to be able to watch other people edit. You'll also get access to our community Facebook group. It's important to have a community of photographers to ask questions to and get feedback. We don't want you to go through this alone. So join our private community-run Facebook group where you can connect with other photographers going through the course. And in addition to everything that I mentioned before, I'm excited to share that this course is part of the Ultimate Photography Bundle. Not only do you get this course and all the bonuses, but you'll get so much more. In the Ultimate Photography Bundle, you get access to your own personal photography library. You will learn camera essentials, how to confidently edit your photos in Lightroom and Photoshop. You'll find the perfect lighting every time, consistently pose and shoot pro-quality portraits, capture stunning landscapes, edit and organize your photos like the experts, build a thriving photography business, start taking pictures you've always dreamed of, and so much more. In this carefully curated bundle, you will get 21 full-length e-courses, including my own course that I mentioned, the Beginner's Guide to Lightroom. You'll get 26 ebooks and tutorials, plus 1 membership site. You'll get 10 practical tools, like editing presets and templates. And today only, you will get access to the What I Wish I Knew live 4-week class. In this class, you'll have a private Facebook community, live videos with photography pros, including myself, fun challenges to give you practical experience, chances to interact with fellow students, and an exclusive Q&A so that you can maximize the value of the bundle. Now, I realize that that is a lot of information to take in, so I want to share with you a few of my favorites that I think make this bundle more than worth it. In the Essential Guide to Black and White Photography by the Digital Photography School, it's an ebook that will teach you how black and white photos have the special ability to capture emotion and passion and drama. This ebook has been created specifically to help you bring the timeless art of black and white photography to the modern science within your camera. Together, they'll help you tell powerful stories through generous black and white photos. Next is the iPhone Photography course by Kyle Schultz. If you don't own a DSLR camera or simply don't have yours handy all the time, then you don't want to miss this e-course. You'll learn step by step how to take priceless pictures of your kids with only your iPhone. Built for parents, this course is fun, practical, and easy to apply to your everyday life. It'll help you become comfortable and confident with your camera, capture amazing pictures that are bright, crisp, and clean, and connect with other photographers for ideas and encouragement. And honestly, one of my absolute favorites is the In-Camera Light by Zach and Jody Gray. Zach and Jody are personal mentors of myself, and although people come to me often to teach them off-camera flash, it is not something that I can teach, but Zach and Jody are the people I would go to learn this in an instant. So get ready to start taking incredible flash images in this 4-hour online course. Once you're done, you'll be able to easily take amazing flash photos in any outdoor lighting situation. The course teaches you the entire system in 25 live shooting segments, covering everything from gear to light, metering to creative shooting ideas, and so much more. You'll also get to connect with other students in a private Facebook group. So I want to ask you, if all of this bundle did was to help you understand your camera, organize your photos, confidently edit them, would it be worth it? This is exactly how I went from being overwhelmed in Lightroom to knowing how to make my photos look more professional. And the total value of this course, plus the Ultimate Photography Bundle, is over $5,000. Isn't that crazy? But for a limited time, you can get this course and all the items in this bundle for $97. So I'm going to go ahead and put the link up. But again, I do want to stress that this is all for a limited time. And I'm going to open up the chat box. So if someone could just click the link for me and let me know that it's working. It's kind of been one of those crazy, hectic technology days. And I want to make sure that everything is working the way it should be. So I go ahead and put that up. Again, just test out the link and let me know. I'm going to go ahead and take a sip of water, and we will go ahead and start answering your questions. Oh, perfect. It works. Thank you guys so much for checking that for me and letting me know. Perfect. Okay, so what kind of questions do you guys have for me? Liz says, what type of Lightroom should I buy? So there's several types of Lightroom out there now. You can buy the standalone version of Lightroom, which I believe is Lightroom 6. It's a one-time fee. Or you can buy what Adobe now calls the Creative Cloud. If you get the Creative Cloud version, I do recommend that you get the Classic and not the CC version. The CC version is a very condensed version and doesn't offer everything that the Classic does. And within my own course, I'm teaching you from the Classic version, so that's the one that you would need. Okay, Cindy says, is this Ultimate Photography Bundle different than the 2000 version? Yes, I don't believe that there are any duplicates of any products in there, Cindy. I know last year I had a different course. This year I have this course. I know they really like to make sure there's variety. So I'm not 100% sure, but I'm 99% sure that there are no duplicates in this bundle. So it's completely different than last year. Okay. So, oh, yep, sorry. Yes, Hannah, that's a good catch. So the box does say 19 minutes. Sorry, I cloned this webinar from another one, and I must have forgotten to turn that off. So yes, the early bird special with the What I Wish I Knew group, you have 10 hours to take advantage of that today. So thank you, Hannah. I'm sorry about that. Like I said, it's been kind of one of those days. About 30 minutes before this webinar went live, I got a call from my daughter's school. She needed to come home. So I was a little flustered and didn't check that. So I appreciate that. Okay, Daniel says, I missed the start of the webinar. Were you editing raw files? Yes, I shoot in RAW and I do edit raw files. You can definitely edit JPEG files in Lightroom, and a lot of what I teach is the same. There's just a few minor differences, and I make note of that in the videos. But I find that if you are serious about editing, then go ahead and switch over to RAW, and it'll help you make sure that you are able to get the most out of your editing. Okay, Debbie says, if I get this, if I got this before, I'm not quite sure what you're asking me. She says this is a yearly thing. So, yeah, you have access to everything in the Ultimate Bundles for a year. My course, like I said, you do have lifetime access. So once you log in, you have access forever. So you have a year to log into the courses and a year to download the information once you purchase the Ultimate Photography Bundle. Claudia says, should we always do white balance first, then exposure before adjusting skin tones? So yes, I always adjust my white balance first. You can adjust your exposure first. Those two, you can kind of flip-flop between the two, but I would adjust those first and then pull your eyedropper to start reading your skin tones, and do that prior to any other editing that you do. Christina says, this is a long shot, but anyway, to pay the different, so Christina's part of my beta group that went through and helps me just make this course amazing. Christina, shoot me an email, and we'll talk, okay? Sherry says, when adjusting temp and tint, keeping the eyedropper on the skin, how do I adjust each one? So what I do is to go between tint and temperature, any of those sliders, you use the greater than or less than brackets, and they're on your keyboard. And once you click on those, it'll go through them. And then you use your plus or minus to move the slider the way you want it. Okay, LaDonna says, when you were looking for a neutral area with the flower girl, why did you click on the marble instead of the dress? You could really do both areas because I know that the marble was pretty neutral and I was there. I went ahead and did that. Sometimes white is really tough because ideally the one you're looking for is gray, but a white dress may not be as good of a reading, but you definitely can't. I just pulled from the marble. It's not like one is wrong. Liz says, thank you. I've watched several webinars and yours are truly one of the best. Oh, thank you so much. I really want to make sure that it's worth your guys' time to show up. I know how busy you guys are, and I love teaching, and so I'm excited to be able to do that with you guys. Barb says, I think I already purchased the Ultimate Photography Bundle. How can I verify that? Barb, it just opened today, so unless you purchased it today, you might have purchased last year's bundle. But go ahead and shoot me an email, and I'll get you connected with the people to help track and check for you. What all is in the photography bundle again? Anna, so you're going to get 26, 21 full-length e-courses, 26 ebooks and tutorials, the membership site, and 10 practical tools. Plus, there's even more bonuses I didn't mention. If you click onto the page, it'll list out every product for you. I didn't want to list them all out because we'd probably be here for about 15 minutes since there's, what is that, over 40 items. But it breaks it all down for you. And then if you click on each picture of what they are, it gives you a little summary of them. Plus, there's bonuses in there to amazing things. And so there's a lot of stuff that you can get. Is Lightroom the best, easiest program to edit with? I think so, but you could ask another photographer who loves Photoshop and they would say Photoshop. I know that in my beta group, I did have one photographer who's edited in Photoshop for years, and she'd always wanted to give Lightroom a try. So she took the beta course and she said it's slowly, working her way into her love in it. She said she loves the capability of what it has to do with organizing your photos and helping you kind of get that nice workflow. So for me, yes, I think Lightroom is easier, but it really just depends on who you ask. Sarah says, why do the numbers on the eyedropper tool say what do the numbers on the eyedropper tool say when you're in a neutral area? So if it's a true neutral area, all the numbers on the red, green, blue will be the same. So if you notice in the first example, when I metered off the wall, I think they were all 16. Concrete is a really good one too. That's typically neutral. But if you know it's a neutral, and even though it's not reading as a neutral, you can view the navigator preview and you can check it there. to make sure that it's what you're going for. Okay, Hannah says, I'm hoping to get this. I got last year's and love it. I was a complete beginner. Now I am a full manual. I love that. Yeah, these bundles are incredible because they really do reach out to teachers or like people who have a passion for teaching you, and then they put it all together for you, and it's there so that you can tackle a little bit at a time, and it's amazing. Like there's presets in there and all sorts of really cool stuff. I have not used Coral Photo Paint, so I'm sorry I don't have any thoughts on that. Sarah says, if you don't watch and do your package in 30 days, I'm very busy and like to take my time. Yeah, so my course you have lifetime access to. And like I said, everything in the bundle you have over a year to access and go through. So my course, you could log in today. And then if you want to come back to it in 6 months, it'll all still be here waiting for you. You do get, I forgot to mention this, you do get 1 week at a time. So once you log into my course, you're not going to get the whole course at a time. I do that for 2 reasons. One, I found that it can kind of be overwhelming to have, all these videos in front of you and you kind of don't know where to start. And I want to make sure that we are building that foundation. So that's the other reason is we focus on one skill set at a time. So the first module is all about setting up your library, getting your photos organized, how to import and call them, so that the next module, which is all in the develop module with the global edits, that you're ready to go. So yeah, it's totally fine if you're busy. You can definitely take your time to do this. If I use Digital Photo Professional instead of Lightroom, would your course be helpful? Honestly, no. I would never tell someone to take my course if I didn't think it would help you. I'm not familiar with the editing program. Everything I teach you is specific to Lightroom. So yeah, you probably could pick up a few things here and there, but I don't know what that program has to offer, and I would hate for you to get frustrated if I'm trying to teach you something and you're not able to get that look. Okay, on the Nikon D750, how do you turn your histogram in live view mode? I don't have my camera nearby, but I think you can just go down to the bottom. There's a little picture of a camera and a picture of like a video camera. I think you just click on that and it pops it into live view for you. Nicole says, are there any presets included in the bundle? Yes, so Cole from Cole's Classroom has 2 sets of presets, I believe, in the bundle. But again, you can click the link and you can see everything that's listed. But I know that there are at least 1 set of presets, if not 2, included in the bundle. Okay, Cindy says, thanks for answering my question. Now one more. Does this new bundle build off of last year's? It was an excellent price, but I always want to feel that I continue to grow in my knowledge. Yeah, so I don't know that it's necessarily like you had to have gotten last year's bundle to be in a place for this one. They try to make sure that it incorporates all levels of photography. So let's say you were a beginner last year. There were things in last year's bundle that maybe you weren't ready for. Whereas this year, maybe you're more intermediate. There's things in there for intermediate photographers and more advanced photographers. But if you're a beginner, then you can go ahead and dive into some of the beginner courses. So really, it's just a range of skills that they have you covered, which is why it's awesome that there's over 20 courses and 20 ebooks so that you can kind of pull the one that where you are now and learn that skill and then move on to the next one. So yes, I definitely think that you will get a lot out of this. And don't forget, guys, there is the 30-day money-back guarantee. So if for whatever reason, I would be surprised if this happens, but if it does and you realize you know everything in the bundle, you can get your money back. Liz says, do you store all your photos on an external hard drive? RAW takes up so much room. So I do. That's something I talk a lot about in Module 1 is how to import where I store my photos. And so basically when I import my photos into Lightroom, I import them directly onto an external hard drive. I don't import them onto my computer hard drive because you're right, they take up a ton of space. And then you also want to make sure that you're backing up your photos. And I use Carbonite, but you can use any kind of cloud service. You want to make sure that you're doing that as well. Okay, Pat says, would you please go over how you use the less than and greater than signs with the eyedropper? Yeah, so when the eyedropper is on someone's skin and you want to scroll through on the basic panel, those different sliders, you can use the less than or greater than sign and it'll go from like temp to tint to exposure to contrast. I don't remember the order of all of them, but it'll cycle through them for you. And then when you get to the one that you want to adjust, so say you want to adjust the temperature, then you use the plus or minus and it'll move the slider for you. And that allows you to keep the eyedropper where it is so that you can keep your reading consistent. Okay, when you're adjusting the group photo, when you change a color of one person, you have to check everyone each time there's a change. I get that. But what if it's a big group and you can't get the numbers to work for everybody? So if you're doing like a bridal party or a big group of like 30 people, I would pick a couple of the people to use as my marker, you know, to check them. And as long as you can get it roughly correct for a handful of people, then the odds are everyone's probably going to be okay. But yeah, it would be really hard if you have 30 people in the photo to check every single person's skin tones. Since I only had 4 people, it was very easy for me to go through. And again, remember, those numbers are just a guide for you. They're not going to be perfect every single time. But yeah, just pick a couple of the people to use. I would pick a couple different skin tones and just check those. Trinity says, if you click the link, it takes you to the bundle site. Yours is included as well. Yes. So on the bundle site, my course, The Beginner's Guide to Lightroom, it's one of the featured courses. It's actually a photo of my daughter's face, the one that we were editing in here. And so, yeah, mine's in there, and you can definitely get it and get access to it right away. Anne says, I have this bundle already, and it's great, different from last year. Oh, great. Yay, Anne, I'm glad you got it already. Elaine says, doesn't changing the colors of the skin change the white balance as well? Yes, it does slightly, but the important thing is that you want the skin tones correct in your photo. So as long as you're reading those numbers and getting that range right, there's such a large range of correct white balance from warm to cooler images, and there's a lot of flexibility of what you can do. And so by making sure that your numbers are correct for the skin tones, you're going to get a correct white balance reading. Trinity says, can we just buy the Lightroom course? So right now, the Lightroom course is not for sale by itself. When it goes live, it'll be $197. So even if you don't want anything else in the bundle, you're still getting a better deal on my course at $97 for this one. Lauren says, when multiple skin tones are in the picture, what skin would you meter off of to make editing easiest? Does it matter? I typically meter off of like a medium, the person with a medium skin tones, so not any extreme either way, just someone in the middle, and that will help make your editing a little bit easier. Okay, Ashley says, how do you know if it's a neutral area to check? Is it the RGB numbers? So neutral is just white, gray, or black. That's basically what it is. Gray is ideal, it's easier, but that's what you're looking for, right? A white, gray, or black area. Okay, Arlene says she totally missed it. Can she view it again? I hope to send out a replay. We'll see if technology works in our favor. So Darcy says, I think I have Lightroom CC, not Classic. Do you think that's why I can't see the grid numbers when I hover over areas? That might be a possibility. I haven't played around in CC, so that might have a lot to do with it. If you have Creative Cloud, you probably have access to the Classic version. So I would just go in and manage your subscriptions and see if you can just download the Classic version. Adrian says, what Lightroom should we purchase? So as I said earlier, if you're getting the Adobe Creative Cloud, get Lightroom Classic. But if you're purchasing as a standalone, you can get, I think Lightroom 6 is the newest one. Okay, Kirsten says, I already have the 2018 Ultimate Bundle because I shot a promo video for it. Would I still be able to get the What I Knew? By the way, Ultimate, what I wish I knew. By the way, Ultimate Photography Bundles is amazing, and you cannot find a single place to get so much information from such a big group of photographers. Yes, I agree. They are incredible. Yeah, you should be able to still get access to the What I Wish I Knew bonus, which is an early bird bonus that's just for today. Kirsten, either shoot me an email or shoot Ultimate Bundles, and we will totally get you taken care of. Ashley says, I have Photoshop CS6. Can this still benefit for me, or is it only for Lightroom? So my course is only for Lightroom, but there is a course in there by David Molnar that's all about Photoshop. So you definitely be able to get something out of it from that. I'm sure if you click on the link and scroll down, I believe his course is one of the featured courses as well. You can read a little bit more about that course if that's what you are looking for. Nikki says, when is the 4-week What I Wish I Knew boot camp class? I believe it starts, Good question. You probably start getting access to it today, but it may not start until Monday. I know I'll be in there one of the weeks teaching, and several other photographers as well, but they will definitely give you that information once you log in. But I want to say it probably will start next week. Okay. Beginner question. Do you shoot black and white photos or do you shoot in color and edit them? Yes, I shoot all my photos in color in RAW, and then I will edit them in Lightroom to black and white if that's the photo that I want. I have Lightroom Cloud. Is this course still going to be useful? So with the Creative Cloud with Lightroom, you'll just want to make sure that you have the classic version. And then yes, absolutely, this course can help you. But the CC version isn't as in-depth as this. It's a more condensed one. So you want to make sure that you have access to the classic version. Thank you for your honesty today. Your tutorial was still transferable, so it might be I appreciate how honest you're. Oh, thank you. I definitely don't want anyone to buy something that isn't a good fit for them. Okay, Kirsten says, I'm still fuzzy on when to use the greater than, less than arrows or the plus or minus. Would you mind running through that again? So I'm not going to pull back up Lightroom. It is in the course. But basically, so if you want to use the shortcuts on your keyboard and you're in the basic panel on the Develop module and you want to go through temperature, contrast, exposure, all those different sliders, you use the greater than or less than. And honestly, sometimes it's just a matter of you pulling up your Lightroom and kind of playing with it. And those will move between the sliders, whereas the plus or minus adjusts that single slider. So if you want to increase your exposure, you plus, 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 decrease your exposure, minus, 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 minus. Okay, Brandy says, I purchased the Photo Summit this year. Is much of this stuff the same? Brandy, I'm not 100% sure what all is included in the Photo Summit, so I cannot answer that. But what you could do is you could purchase this one and you could check it out. And if you find that it is the same, then you could get a refund. But I think the Photo Summit was more of the webinars that we all taught. I don't know how many courses it had in it, but I could be wrong. Claudia says, thanks for answering my question. Additional one about lenses. Which lenses do you recommend for portrait photographers, the D750? The 85mm is a great portrait lens. That's one of my favorites. And then that's just great for portraits. And I also love the 24-70, or even the 70-200, which I love for sports with my kids. Okay, Hannah says, I bought last year's and I'm in manual mode now. I hope to get the help with editing. I didn't have Lightroom or Photoshop last year, and I'm also interested in starting my own business, and last year's had more starting out. Awesome. Well, then this should be a perfect fit for you because I know there's a lot in there as well to help you get going with your business. Okay. Yes, so as I mentioned, there is not a way to purchase this class by itself right now, but the class will be $197 when it goes live to the public outside of the bundle. So if it's something that you're interested in, it's still a better deal to go ahead and buy the course now with the bundle. And even if you don't look at anything in the bundle except this class. Okay. Deborah says, once you've corrected the skin tones on one image, can you just sync to the other images? Yes, absolutely. As long as the light is the same between your images, you can definitely fix one image and then sync, and then you don't have to tweak every single image, which is something we talk about in the course, and will save you a ton of time to start using that sync feature. I missed which cloud backup you use. Oh, I use Carbonite, but I've used Backblaze in the past, and I want to say one more, but yeah, any cloud service is fine. How do I edit a black and white photo? So I actually have a whole video of that in the course. I can't teach it right here because I would need to pull it up and kind of walk through it. But basically, you're going to click on the black and white option, but then it's more than just that in Lightroom. You need to tweak your contrast and dehaze and your tone curve and your exposure. And there's a lot that goes into it. But it's really not that complicated. Once you watch the video, it kind of walks you through everything, and it's really fun to start editing your black and white photos. Okay, what do you set for camera calibration? Do you keep it at Adobe Standard? Yep, I do. I keep mine at Adobe Standard. Victoria says, ordered it. Yay, I'm so excited. Bev says, I struggle with photos where one person has very red skin tones. Advice. So I would say try this method and see if you don't start to see a change. Once you start reading the numbers and doing this, you will start to notice a change in your photos. And I bet that'll help with the people that have more red in their skin tone. Okay. Kelly says, will we receive an email with a link to all the items in the bundle? I received a copy on my iPad invoice, but no link. Yes, absolutely. There's actually a whole portal where all the items are housed, where you can access them all. If you don't get them, Kelly, you can email me or email Ultimate Bundles, and we will get you taken care of. It's probably a lot of people are purchasing right now, and so it's slowing down the emails probably. Cindy says, I just purchased the photography bundle. I love the bundle so much, and I've never been disappointed. Looking forward to the beginner's guide to Lightroom and the boot camp. Yay, I'm so excited. Yeah, this is my 3rd year working with Ultimate Bundles and being a part of their photography bundle, and I love it. I love working with people like them. They're incredible, and the bundles are just full of so much information. I wish this was around when I was starting out. Okay. Beth says she grew a great deal from last year's Ultimate Bundle. That's awesome. LaDonna says the What I Wish I Knew bootcamp will be taught at what time of day? Honestly, I'm not 100% sure on that. You can shoot the Ultimate Bundles team an email, and I'm sure they'll be able to answer you. I don't recall what time of day I'm teaching, but yeah, they would totally have all those answers for you. Okay, what is the ideal spacing between RGB for color photos and for black and white? So, like I went over in the video, it really just depends on the image and the person's skin tones, but basically you're looking for anywhere between 10 to 20 points scale. Brady says, Courtney, you're the best. Honestly, thank you so much. I attended all your free webinars, and I'm clicking up a notch photographer for life. Oh my gosh, that is just, I love that. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Yolanda says, just about to purchase the bundle. I have the Creative Cloud. Will this work with this version? It should. If it doesn't, shoot me an email and let me know. I don't have that version, so I'm not able to tell you, but let me know if it doesn't, and we'll look and see what we can do. All right, is there anything in this course that goes into metering for correct skin tones on camera? So I don't talk about shooting in this course. I go over that. If you are interested in learning more about your camera, I actually have another course called The Beginner's Guide to Manual Mode, and that teaches you all about how to get your photos correct in camera and meter for correct skin tones and all of that. This course is more of like once you've mastered shooting and you're ready to start editing, then this is the course that you want to dive into. Okay, Bridget says, or Brigitte says, thank you for answering the questions. You're an amazing webinar. You're such a great teacher. Thank you. Okay, Tessa says, is the Lightroom Classic a subscription service like CC? Would be better to switch to Lightroom 6 instead of CC I have now. So no, Lightroom Classic is a version of the subscription. That's what I have. So if you just go into your manage your subscriptions and you can view what you have available to download, you should see the Lightroom Classic option there. Okay. I love how gently and easily you explain everything. You really have a knack for teaching. Thank you for sharing your knowledge. You guys are just warming my heart today. Thank you. You guys, I appreciate that. So excited to get started, says Jessica. Thank you so much for making me feel like this, like for the first time ever, I can actually understand the editing side. You're great. Oh, okay. You guys have to stop because I'm going to cry because I love that. I really want to make sure that you guys know that you can edit your photos. Like, it's hard. I'm not going to lie. It took me a long time to figure it out. And that's why this course is awesome, because I just took everything I learned and just broke it down in a super easy to understand way for you guys. Sue says, so we have 10 hours to decide. How do we purchase later today? Yeah, so the What I Wish I Knew bootcamp goes away today, and that's what the timer is for. So I will send out an email later today with a link for you if you did decide you need a little bit more time, because our time is up here. But yeah, if you have any questions, you can shoot me an email. I will be doing my best to man my email today. I do have my little one home. She got home from school from being sick. So I will do the best I can. But if you guys aren't able to get a hold of me, the Ultimate Bundles crew is amazing as well. And they can help answer any questions you have about the bundle. Thank you guys so much for taking time out of your day. me see if I can switch this off and bring back my camera and I don't kill it. Oh, watch, I probably killed it. All right, let's see. Okay, I forgot. Giveaway. So thank you guys so much for sticking around in the end. For those of you guys who are live, I'm going to pick a winner. And so what you're going to get is so exciting. One, you're going to get access to the Beginner's Guide to Lightroom course. You're going to get access to everything in the Ultimate Photography Bundle for free. You're also going to get access to the Beginner's Guide to Manual Mode, my other course. You're basically getting everything I own and sell plus the Ultimate Photography Bundle. So you're going to have like information overload. So you get the Ultimate Photography Bundle. You'll get Beginner's Guide to Lightroom. You get Beginner's Guide to Manual Mode. You're going to get the new presets we just launched last month, the Clean Collection, which are amazing. You're going to get the Unexpected Everyday ebook, which is the 30-day challenge. And you're going to get the Style Photographer, which is an ebook to help you find your photography style. So it's probably, can't even think of a value, well over $5,500 worth of information and tools and stuff. So I am just going to pick a random winner from someone who's live right now. So the winner is Claudia. Claudia, you are the winner. So exciting. Claudia, if you could just shoot me an email at Courtney@clickitupanotch.com. Claudia, congratulations. You win all the things. So thank you guys again so much. Claudia says, wait, what? Me, yes, you. So thank you guys so much for hanging out. I appreciate you guys taking the time to spend with me today to talk photography. I could stay for hours and talk photography. But yeah, take advantage of this bundle while you have a chance, because it is a limited time and it's going to go away. So if you're interested in the course, go ahead and grab it, get all this extra goodies and dive into them when you have time, or just focus on the course. But again, if you guys have any questions, please shoot me an email. And again, thank you guys.